Good morning, students. Today we would like to talk something about object-oriented concepts in Java. So we already know that what is OOPS, that is Object-Oriented Programming Language. What is a language? Language is a medium for communication. Programming language means it's a medium to communicate with the system. So in the earlier days we are communicating with the system through binary language, that is ones and zeros. But it's hard to communicate with the system with ones and zeros. So we introduced a programming language, a high-level programming language which should communicate with the system much easier. Okay. So the first programming languages was binary, and then there is a command prompt thing. Then we introduced a high-level programming language. And the first and foremost basic programming language was C. C is a programming language which has a top to bottom approach. While we are writing a program from the starting statement, something like this. Statement 1, statement 2, etc. Statement N. So this was the procedure, or this was the idea of a programming language like a C, which said top to bottom approach. So if we need any statement in the earlier times, or if we need statement from 1 to 5, we need to repeat that statement again. That was one of the most disadvantages of C programming language, or procedure oriented. It's a kind of procedure oriented programming language concept. So that's why we introduced a concept called object oriented programming language, which means if you are writing a program with a 10 page or 12 page, any pages, we can access the first page data with the help of an object. So that is what is called an object oriented programming language concept. So there are some key points in the object oriented concept. The first thing was class. So what do you mean by a class? Class is nothing but it's a collection of data. Okay, it's a collection of objects. So the next thing we need to know is what's an object. Okay. So object is nothing but it's a real world entity which should have a behavior and a property. Okay. The object nothing but which should have a behavior and property. For example, if you are taking a mobile phone should have a behavior, that is you can take the photos, and it should have its own property like color and size, etc. So object oriented programming concept, the object is the real world entity thing. Okay. And so class is nothing but it's a collection of objects. For example, if you are taking an apple is an object, class. Okay, this is a fruit. Okay, class is a fruit and object called as an apple. So it is as simple as that. For example, if you are taking a class, a real world class, a student, every student is an object and the entire class is a class. Okay, so every student has its own object or its own specialities. So similar kind of properties, behaviors combined in the class. And the third one is nothing but it is called a data abstraction. Data abstraction. Data abstraction is the property of showing only the essential features and hiding all the background details for the user. For example, if you are entering into an ATM, we are entering the PIN number and we are taking the money and all. But we don't know what are the thing that is running on the background. That is what is called a data abstraction. Only showing the essential features. We don't want to know the background details. What will be done in the background and all. For example, if you are making a call, we are just dialing the number and we press the call button. We just connected. But there are so many things in the background. It should be connected to one antenna, then the radio waves goes and hitting another antenna and taking the call and all. So we only know that is data abstraction concept. We can only know the essential features. We only know the essential features. That is what is called the data abstraction. And the next one, that is called the inheritance. Inheritance concept is nothing but it is called why you need to access same type of data in another class. For example, there is a class called vehicle. So there is a class called vehicle, and it should have a property like a service. So if you are creating a child class, called car, if you are creating a child class of this vehicle, we can access the property and behavior of this parent class. In the real life, we might say that we should have any kind of behavior of our parent or grandparent. The same thing here, the legacy. The legacy of the parent class can achieve or gain by the child class. That is the property. Another, we can take another example called, let's say something called a form. There is a class called form, and there is a method called call. There is a method called call. If there is a font called Samsung, is extending. That means that is a child class of this phone. That is a child class. If there is a child class of phone, it can access this method. That is called inheritance. So inheritance is nothing but it is accessing the property and behavior of another class. That is what is called inheritance concept. Then the fifth one, encapsulation. Encapsulation means which is wrapping up of data into a single unit. That is what is called data encapsulation. For example, class is an example of encapsulation, because this is all the things are connected. Class, object, data, abstraction, inheritance, encapsulation, everything is connected. Encapsulation, for example, there is a collection of similar kind of object in a class. So that is an example of encapsulation. And in the real life, we might say that there is a capsule for any kind of PE. In real life, we are using some kind of capsule, right? So encapsulation is nothing but it's the same kind of data should be wrapping up to take the value simple. If you are creating a vehicle class or car class, anything, we can access the whole thing using an object. So it should be wrapped. It should be all the services or any kind of method should be wrapped in the class, and we can access through using an object of this class. That is vehicle class. That is encapsulation concept. And the fifth one, the sixth one, that is polymorphism. Okay, the word meaning of poly is many. Morphism means the behavior or the forms. That is the many behavior or many forms, which means the ability to make more than one forms. That is what is polymorphism all about. For example, human is an example of polymorphism, because we are behaving differently in different places, right? We are something like we are not behave like a child, or if you are behaving like in a class, it should be different, right? For example, we can take a programming example. For example, 5 plus 7 equal to 12. So here the operation of plus is addition. Okay, here this operator perform addition. The same ing plus ing. The output is nothing but India. Okay, so here the C plus operator works as a concatenation. Okay, the C plus operator works as concatenator. So this is what is called polymorphism. Different behave differently in different forms or different platforms or different areas. That is what is called polymorphism. Okay, let's revise what we talked about the first time. Object-oriented programming concept. In the earlier days, we are using procedure. If you are writing a program, it should start and it should be writing. If you need to write some more from the front end or the front pages, we need to take all the data again. So that is what is procedure. oriented programming concept. In object oriented programming, we just need to write the program anywhere and we can call it with an object. So that is what is called object oriented programming. And the concept's key features is, one of the features is object. Object is nothing but it's a real world entity. It should have a property and a behavior. Something like a form, student, name, book, anything. So that is called an object. Class is nothing but it's a collection of objects is called a class. Collection of objects is called, for example, apple is an object, fruit is a class. So that is the main thing of, that is the property of class. And the next thing is data abstraction. Data abstraction is nothing but it's showing only the essential features. It's hiding all the background details of the working behind it. We need to know, the user need to know this kind of thing. So that must be visible to that user. They don't want to know about the background detail. So hiding all the data in the background, that is what is called a data abstraction. And the next one, inheritance. Inheritance is the legacy of the parent can be accessed by the child. The properties and behavior of the parent can be accessed by a child if they are extending the parent class. That is inheritance concept. And the next one is encapsulation. Encapsulation is the example of wrapping data into the single unit. For example, there is a capsule or there is a classroom. All students are here. Wrapping up of data into a single unit. Similar kind of data should be gathered together in a class, in a unit. That is what is called an encapsulation. And at the last but not the least, that is polymorphism. Polymorphism is the ability to make more than one forms. So polymorphism is due with the abilities. One thing or one object or one operator can perform more than one operation in different areas. So that is what is called a polymorphism. So that's all about today. So thank you.